What's up, everybody? It's RadChad from MaximumThreshold.net. I'm at the Ventura County Blues Festival in Moore Park, California. This gentleman does not need no introduction. You already know him. You know him from acting, obviously the Blues Fest. How you doing, Mr. Mickey Jones?
I like you a lot better than I thought I did in the beginning, man. I'm glad that you know a little bit about me and what I do here with the Blues Festival, because this is a radical day. RadChad is in the house.
Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate those kind words. You got to, first of all, those are not familiar with the Ventura Blues Fest, please tell them a little bit what's going on and how you came about.
Well, it's funny, Michael John, who has the group that was second on the bill today, called The Bottom Line, he created the Ventura County Blues Festival 9 years ago, and we did it the first year. We were at a little place called Oak Park, and we had about 200 people. And today, 9 years later, we have about 7,000 people out here.
Holy moly.
I don't know how you beat that. And everything we do here is for charity. All the vendors are all involved in the charity. Reactor watches, what I have on right now. Any money they make today is going to our charity. There's a quilt over at the Simi Valley Quilt Guild booth that my wife made for Jacob, who's fighting cancer. And every dime goes to help pay for his medical bills. So
there you have it.
Every single person out here today are here for the right reason, not only to hear some great blues, but to help the charities in our community. And I'm all over that, brother.
Yeah, I know. I know you're a big advocate on charities. Can you fill this in on what charities are you're most fond of and help out?
Well, one of the things that I'm maybe prejudiced is our wounded warriors.
Amen.
I am very hardcore pro-military. I was in Vietnam in 1966, but I have to tell you, I went to Vietnam the right way. I was there for 4 months with Ann Margaret as the drummer with Johnny Rivers.
Oh, that's right.
So I didn't have to fight. I let the other guys do the heavy lifting, but I got an award last year from the Vietnam Veterans of America, and they gave me their presidential award for my service in Vietnam. And I said, wait a minute, you guys did the heavy lifting, and they'll come up and say to me, yeah, and you could have got blown up just as easy as we could have. So they so appreciated what our entertainers do for our military in theaters all over the world.
Well, not only that, I mean, it's been going on, like you said, since nowadays, Afghanistan, I mean, Iraq, all that. I mean, entertainers are a big force when it comes to military and war and everything else. And
well, you know what? Let me put it to you this way. Our military, our Vietnam veterans in particular, never got welcomed home.
Yeah.
When they came home, they got spit on.
I know.
I believe that our Vietnam veterans laid the groundwork for the way our veterans are treated today when they come back from Afghanistan or Iraq. They are treated with the utmost respect. They are welcomed home. But our Vietnam veterans never got welcomed home.
Let me ask you a question.
We're doing that now.
Yeah, I know. Why did it take over 30, 40 years or whatever for them now to recognize our military? I don't know, but I support it as because of our fallen.
None of us wanted to support that war, but you cannot not support the guys who are doing the fighting for us.
Exactly.
So I didn't support that war. I don't want to be involved in any war, but I will never turn my back on our military. My dad was a 23-year Navy pilot, and I absolutely look at him as one of my true heroes in life.
Amen.
And so anybody that was in our military, as far as I'm concerned, this is for you.
Amen. Thank you very much for that, and thank you to your father and to all the other people out there. Getting back to other charities, you mentioned some other charities that you're involved with. You want to kind of elaborate a little bit on that?
Well, I'm a 24-year reserve with the Los Angeles Police Department. So
wow, I did not know that.
No, a lot of people don't know that. So watch yourself. So I'm very involved in the Los Angeles Police Department Memorial Foundation.
Awesome.
I do a lot of charity work for them. We do a celebrity golf tournament. We raise money so that the families of officers that are fallen in the line of duty or permanently injured and disabled on the line of duty, those families can continue to have their lifestyle. We send their kids on to college. So,
fantastic.
You know, charity really is what our country is all about. No one's required to give to charity. It's not a requirement.
Yeah, I agree. But I think it should be taught in high school, to be honest. It should be a requirement in high school.
We owe it as Americans to support people who can't support themselves. I will go to the wall for somebody that needs help, but I will not stand by and be taken advantage of by somebody who is too uppity to work. I'm not going to work. Why should I work? The government will give me all this. I'm not on your team.
I agree with you.
If it needs help, you can count on me.
Now let's get back to your music career. I mean, you mentioned a little bit, obviously, in our earlier conversation. You played with, from what I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, you even played with Bob Dylan. Is that true?
I was the original drummer with Bob Dylan when he went electric in 1966.
Wow.
We started out, we were a group called the Hawks, and it was Robbie Robertson, Garth Hudson, Rick Danko, Richard Manuel, and me. And about 6 weeks into the big world tour, all we ever got in the media was, the band is too loud. Bob Dylan should send the band back to America. The band sucks.
Are you kidding me?
That's all we ever saw in the media. So we decided to take that name, the band. So I was the original drummer with the band before Levon. Levon took my place when I left the group.
I knew you had some affiliation, but I didn't know those roots went that deep. That's awesome. I mean, those roots are really deep.
Well, long before that, I was with a guy named Trini Lopez for 8 years, who you're too young to remember, but he had 3 or 4 multi-million selling records. I went around the world 8 times with Trini.
Wow.
And then I left Trini to go with a guy named Johnny Rivers.
Yep.
And I was with Johnny for 3.5 years. I played on Secret Agent Man and Seventh Son, and all his hit records. Then I left Johnny Rivers to go with Bob Dylan. And I would have stayed with Johnny Rivers because he was a fair guy. We were friends. But when I told him what Bob Dylan had offered me, Bob Dylan offered me in '66 $750 a week, which I got to tell you, in '66 that was
good. That was good money, huh?
That was large.
So we're talking about $750 back then, right?
In '66.
Wow.
And Johnny was paying me $500 a week, and which was great too. And when I told him what Bob had offered me, he said, I wish I could compete with that, but that's like having another guy in the band. So I'm going to have to say thank you for what you've done for me, and I'm going to tell everybody that Bob Dylan stole my drummer.
Do you still have contact with Bob Dylan?
I haven't talked to him in several years, but if I had to get in touch with him, I know his manager real well, and I'm sure I could. And then after Bob, it's when I started getting into the acting and the movie business.
That's what I want to touch bases with you.
Then I got a call from a guy named Ken Fritz, who wanted me to come and hear a group that they were going to sign as a management deal, and they were called the First Edition. And I said, Ken, I really don't want to go back out on the road. I'm so sick of being on an airplane 7 days a week. I don't want to do it.
So is that where your acting came in now?
Well, that's where I started pursuing it. But he said, would you at least come and listen to them and see them?
Yeah.
So I went down to this little folk club in Huntington Beach. I had never heard 4-part harmony that good in my life. And so we got together the next day just to jam a little bit. And after about an hour, Mike Settle, who really formed the group, came over and said, you know, everything feels so good. You know we want you to be our drummer. And I said, well, it does feel pretty darn good. And that was the beginning of 10 years with Kenny Rogers in the first edition. At that point, Kenny was just the bass player.
Yeah, I remember. Hey, I'm not too young now.
You remember that?
I remember Kenny Rogers, yeah. And then hold on. Kenny Rogers, before he did country, he was doing like rock and roll, right? He was doing like classic rock and roll.
I'll name a few of our hit records. Just dropped in to see what condition my condition was in.
Yep.
Ruby, Don't Take Your Love to Town.
Yeah.
Reuben James. Yeah. Tell It All, Brother. Yeah. Something's Burning.
Yeah.
Well, that's fine.
If it wasn't for my old man was a country fan, but obviously that's how I go, who is this Kenny Rogers? And then it turns out he's, how I got turned on to Kenny Rogers and his classic rock era, his rock and roll era? The Big Lebowski.
Oh.
Remember The Big Lebowski?
Just Dropped In was played in its entirety.
I'm going, who the hell is this? Who the hell is this? Turns out, Kenny Rogers.
Drums,
that was him about drums. Yeah. Awesome, man.
I look back and I had a wonderful 23-year music career, but I did reach that point. I want to say I'm done. I've got 17 gold and platinum albums on the wall. I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Amen.
I'm glad I did it, but I wanted to be an actor. And so sure enough, I was unemployed for about 3 years, and thank God for my wife, because
bring him up.
She worked 2 and 3 jobs to pay the rent and buy the groceries, and so I owe everything, my career, to my wife, Phyllis.
Amen. You know what? I'm very intrigued by you, very impressed. Obviously, I just recently saw you on Workaholics. And then my favorite was, of course, Justified. You played the drug.
Young kids watch Workaholics. I'm not kidding. I can't tell you how many young kids come up to me and said, you were on our favorite show. And I said, what was that? And they said, Workaholics. I went, you've got to be kidding me. And I have a 19-year-old granddaughter. Her and her friends get together and watch that all the time. So I had no idea when I did that show that anybody would see it.
Well, I got to be honest, and I'm not kissing your ass. The only reason why I watched that show because somebody said that you're going to be on it. And I said, well, I got to see this.
Are you kidding me? He's lying to you.
But Justified, I don't give a shit. That's one of my favorite shows. You're just an additive to it, man. You played a good character on Justified.
I have to tell you, Justified is a great show. And when and my wife watched it before me. And then when I got cast in season 2, I came home, I told my wife, I said, honey, I just booked a guest star on Justified. And she got all excited. And then I did that show, and one of the producers came up and he said, you know you're back the next season. I said, I am? I said, nobody said that to me. He said, no, you're definitely back. So I came back for a couple of shows the next season. And then I didn't do season 4 because the storyline went different.
Exactly.
But then season 5, this season, I did 5 episodes.
Yeah, and unfortunately they had to let you go. We got you and Eric Roberts and what's his name? I can never say his last name.
You talking about Raylan?
Raylan, yeah, I can never say his last name right.
Raylan Givens.
How do you say his last name?
Givens.
No, his real name, the actor.
Oh, Timothy Oliphant.
Oliphant, thank you. Yeah, but...
And I'll tell you what was so cool. I'm sliding down in my chair. I got a call about 2 weeks before I read that script. And the phone rang, and I said, hello. The guy said, Mr. Jones. And I said, well, Mr. Jones is my dad. I said, I'm Mickey. He said, oh, Mickey, it's Graham Yost. I said, oh, Mr. Yost.
Yeah.
Because he is the creator
and
the executive producer. He said, Mickey, I wanted to talk to you about the next script before you read it. And I said, fine. He said, and I knew what was coming.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, please, 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 please don't kill me. And he said, well, you know, every great character we've had on this show has to meet his maker.
Yeah.
And unfortunately...
Oh, and you met your maker, all right.
Hot Rod is no exception. So I said, well, if you're resigned to that, let me just give you an idea. How about you take a look at my evil twin, Ramrod. He is a really bad guy.
Yeah.
And he laughed and he said, I might think about that. But, you know, I knew it was coming. And they've already announced that next season is their last season. So to have done 3 seasons on there was pretty dang cool.
Oh, yeah. And think about that show is in the top, I would say, top 5. That I don't know about the ratings and all that, but
It's a great show.
It's everybody.
Well, I don't know how it goes against network, but against other cable shows,
Yeah.
it's number 1.
Yeah.
So.
And that's why, and I appreciate that. I mean, like I said, you had to go. I mean, you know, that's the name of the game in acting. But you know, you got a good run. Anything else coming up that the fans should know out there?
I just shot a guest star on a show called Growing Up Fisher. It's an NBC show.
It's the blind guy, correct?
The blind guy.
Come on, man. I know what's going on.
And then I'm impressed. And then I just did a show called Newsreaders, which is a summer replacement on Comedy Central.
Okay, yeah.
So
that show's new, correct? The Newsreader's new, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Newsmakers hadn't been on yet.
Yeah.
And I have a call back Monday with the director on a Outback Steakhouse commercial, which I hope I get that, because a good network commercial means ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. I love that.
Now, I know over the roles over the years that you've done, I mean, do you like playing those kind of like those rugged kind of like, you know, I mean, is that something, I mean, you're a character, let's be honest, you're a character actor, right?
This may sound corny, but I can tell you honestly, I have loved every role I've ever played. Now, I gotta tell you, it's fun playing a guy who will put a bullet in your eye without thinking about it, because I don't get to do that in real life.
Of course.
Well, very seldom anyway. But
don't piss them off, folks.
That's right. I've done roles where I was funny. I made people laugh.
Yeah.
And I even, one of my first early roles, I played a mentally retarded kid on The Incredible Hulk.
That's right.
The producers submitted me for an Emmy. So, and I got letters from teachers of retarded children saying, thank you for not playing this kid as a blithering idiot.
Yeah.
Because they're not. I played him as a little kid in a big body. So,
yeah.
I can look back at that because I got submitted for an Emmy and tell you that's one of the greatest things I've ever done. I did one season, half of the season, on a show called Dukes of Hazzard. Never had so much fun in my life sliding those cars around the corner. So, I mean, I played B.B. Davenport. I remember. I was Cooter's cousin, drove a tow truck.
I remember.
Talk real funny like this.
Yeah.
So, no, I've loved everything I've done.
So, no, yeah, I was just going to say, so no regrets whatsoever.
Listen, brother, if it ends today, you got no regrets right here. Guarantee you I'm the luckiest man you will ever meet on the planet Earth.
Awesome. Hey, you want to plug any of the charitable sites that you got going right now for the maniacs out there?
Well, you know, we do so many charity. There are so many charities that reap the benefit of our blues festival.
Well, what about the blues? How about the Blues Fest site? How about that? So they can go on and the Blues Fest, the Blues Society.
Well, you can go online to the Ventura County Blues Foundation or Society. Sorry. the Ventura County Blues Society, and you can see the charities we work for.
Exactly.
And you can donate to them if you want to, but you can also get information about next year's Blues Festival. And believe me, if you were here this year, you're going to be back next year.
I have to say, I've been to this is my 4th one. Never do I go home disappointed, and I'm not saying that because Mr. Jones is sitting next to me. I mean, you can hear the music right now. You can hear the music going on right now. It's just a great, positive vibe, man. And
how you spend a better day than this? I'm a blues hound, and this is the most fun for me. Right now, Jimmy Thackeray and the Drivers are up there with guest star Coco Montoya. How do you get it better than this?
Mickey, what's your site so they can go on and just give more information about you?
Yeah, my website is MickeyJones.com. I also have a Facebook page, but you can email me through MickeyJones.com. But you can also go to my Facebook page, and there's more stuff up there and videos and stuff that there's too much for me to even know what it is.
Awesome. Mickey, it's always been a pleasure. I've talked to you a couple years ago. You, sir, are a class act. I want to thank you very much.
Thank you, brother.
I woke up this morning with the sun down, shining in. I found my...
Hey, this is RadChad from Maximum Threshold. Check out Mickey Jones. Check out the Ventura Blues Fest every year. Horns up. Thanks for listening.
And don't make me come to your house.
There's a man who leads a life of danger.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was a little caught up in the blues here. I'm Mickey Jones. Stay right where they are for Maximum Threshold with RadChad. You won't be sorry.